Andy, my dude, have you heard of the magical website builder known as Squarespace?
Ugh, not another Squarespace ad. I feel like every podcast is sponsored by them.
Hey, don't knock it till you try it. Yes, okay, it is overhyped, but actually it lives up to the hype. Squarespace is like a website fairy godmother. With a click of a button, your site transforms into a beautiful masterpiece.
A website fairy godmother? That sounds interesting. What makes it so magical?
Well, for starters, those slick templates make anyone look like a professional web designer. Pick one, customize the colors and fonts to match your brand, and voila. Plus, the drag-and-drop fluid engine is so easy, your grandma could build a site on Squarespace.
Well, she did knit me a lovely scarf last Christmas. Maybe website design is next.
Exactly. And when you're ready to sell your Nana's handmade scarves online, Squarespace has built-in e-commerce. Add a store with one click. Get flexible payment options. Then watch those sales roll in. And when she wants to teach others her steezy scarf skills, Squarespace's new courses feature is just the ticket. Nana can set up her curriculum and enrollments and payments in a snap and become the next e-knitting influencer.
Oh, wow, you really sold me with the grandma angle. Sign me up for that free trial.
Just go to thenextreel.com/Squarespace and transform your site into a beautiful Squarespace masterpiece.
Well, thanks, Pete. Even though it's overhyped, Squarespace actually sounds perfect for Nana's site's needs. Appreciate the warning on the ads, though. I'll brace myself next time I listen to a podcast.
Anytime. Let me know if you need any help getting that site up and running. Andy, can you believe we've almost hit 700 episodes of The Next Reel?
I know, it's crazy. And with all the other episodes in our family of podcasts, we are well over 1,200 episodes of movie conversation. It's really pretty amazing that we've gotten to have these in-depth movie chats every week for over a decade now.
And we couldn't have done it without our loyal community of film fans. Their support over the years has meant so much.
For sure. That reminds me, we should give the merch store a shout out. Buying shirts from thenextreel.com/merch is a great way listeners can continue to support the show. Plus, they get to sport our great designs.
Absolutely. I think sometimes folks forget we have a variety of shirts, mugs, phone cases, and more available. In fact, a great place to start is with a shirt sporting the Next Reel's logo.
We also have that classic Fast Times Spicoli Surf School tee, or the weirdly popular Rusty's European Tour shirt.
The one from National Lampoon's European Vacation. Why is that so popular?
Search me, but we have sold a ridiculous number of those. I guess there are a lot of Rustys taking trips to Europe?
We're always adding new designs based on movies we've covered, like our brand new design for a streetcar named Desire, featuring a streetcar named Desire. So if you want to rep your love of TNR and films, head to thenextreel.com/merch.
Every purchase helps us continue to have these weekly in-depth conversations. So visit thenextreel.com/merch today.
And as always, thanks for listening and being a part of the Next Reel community. We've got lots more great movie chats coming your way. I'm Pete Wright.
And I'm Andy Nelson.
Welcome to The Next Reel. When the movie ends,
our conversation begins.
In just a matter of seconds, you're going to hear a classic episode of this show from back in the day when we called ourselves Movies We Like.
It took us a while to settle into the show's format, so you'll notice some differences as you listen to these episodes. For instance, it takes us a bit of time to actually get into the conversation about the movie. Things like that.
But we're still proud of the conversations about the movies themselves, and we think they're worth keeping in the library.
So enjoy these episodes from our back catalog. And you can become part of our Discord community, learn more about the show, and find out how you can become a supporting member at thenextreel.com.
So thank you, everybody, for downloading and listening to The Next Reel. We appreciate your time and attention, and we hope you enjoy the show. Now, when people hear this, are you going to actually be in Luxembourg? Or are you back?
I will be in Luxembourg.
In the Lux, the Grand Lux.
Mm-hmm.
They say on the street there, the Lux Lux. Are you from the Lux?
The Lux Lux? Yeah, it's like Luxembourg City, Luxembourg County, Luxembourg Country.
Lubu. I'm going to Lubu for the film fest.
Hashtag Lubu.
Hashtag Lubu. That's got to be a thing. Somebody make that a thing.
See if J-Law and...
J-Lo and ScarJo. ScarJo.
And...
Joe Jolie, 86.
That is so funny. So funny.
How you doing, my friend? My friend?
Good. It's cold over here in Luxembourg.
Is it? Are you shivering your timbers?
Oui, I am.
It's very good to hear you. Are you? I imagine you probably haven't been able to do much with yourself besides be a famous producer at the film festival in Luxembourg.
That's
so you
pretty
probably
much
don't have any great stories yet.
I don't have any great stories. Actually, I do. I'm just not going to tell you until next week.
Excellent. I very much look forward to that. I also don't have any great stories, although I'll tell you what I just added to my queue today on very high recommendation. Have you seen Predestination?
No, but we talked about that trailer a while back, and it's one that I think looks fascinating.
It really does, and I got it just today, and I'm putting it on after the show. That's going to be my thing now. I'm going to watch it right now. I mean, not right now, in moments. So I'm very excited to talk about it. It is. I have heard
Hold on,
such.
It's
okay. Credits. It's credits right now. I'm very excited to see it. It comes very highly recommended from people I trust. That this is a film that does some really interesting things to time travel. So I want to talk about that next week. You should probably watch it too in Lubu.
I'm going to.
Okay.
I'm watching it right now in Lubu.
If you don't really have any, I mean, seriously, if you don't have anything else to say, nothing that I imagine would rival Alpaca Gate, Llama Gate.
Is that still a thing?
It's going to Andy, for crying out loud, you should know a thing is only a thing if you commit.
Oh, right. Let's talk about it for the next full year, every episode.
You have to commit, sir. You have to commit.
Hashtag Llama-gate.
Hashtag Llama-gate.
Hashtag I commit. I commit to llamas.
Let's screw it. Let's tell people where we're from.
Where are we from?
This is The Next Reel, everybody. I'm Pete Wright, and that over there is Andy Lubu Nelson. Nothing? You can't say hello in French?
Bonjour.
There you go. We spoil movies. Tonight on the show, the third in our mystery series with Curtis Hanson and Brian Helgeland's 1997 neo-noir L.A. Confidential.
It's about time we talk about this.
It's about damn time. Before we get into that, you should learn more about us at thenextreel.com. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at The Next Reel. And if you think you've got what it takes to play in the big reels, head over to Instagram.com/TheNextReel and play The Next Reel's Instagram. Hashtag Pony Prize. Hashtag, oh no, I don't know movies. They're not French. Hashtag Guess the Movie Challenge.
Hey, you know what? We got to do our Instagram different this week.
Why do we do that? Why are we doing that?
Because I'm in the future, but I don't know. I don't know who won yet.
Oh, so I'm gonna have to cut in.
You're gonna have to. Yeah, that's right. You got to do some of your little editing magic. Make sure.
This is so exciting to me.
I know you love editing shows.
Let me tell you why I'm so excited. First of all, because you had said this is Stephen was going to go on a work trip to Poland or Prague or something, and he wasn't going to be able to do it, and you were going to be out of town, and I was going to have to actually take the wheel and actually do some of the posts next week. Thank God I don't have to do that. Talk about driving with the brakes on. I'm not ready for that game. But
I know we were kind of throwing you out there.
Oh, man, that was too much. But this, being able to do a cut-in with Future Pete in order to help Future Andy live in the past, I can do that. Let's do it right now.
It's all about time travel, baby.
It's Pete reporting from Future Past. I'm here to tell you congratulations goes to Kendra Midmod83 for crushing it on image number 4 from James Ponsolt's 2013 The Spectacular Now. This was an image of a water fountain in a high school that gave it away. Film stars Miles Teller and Shailene Woodley. You should go see Whiplash before you see this film. It's fantastic. If you want to see that Miles Teller, man, that's a guy to watch. Anyhow, congratulations, Kendra Midmod83. You are entered to win this year's Instagram #Pony Prize #Guess the Movie Challenge. Andy, it's time. Let's do trailers.
I doubt I'll see this movie, but I'm actually really excited about the trailer because it looks so awful, but it just, I don't know, it's so fitting for me right now. It's called Pound of Flesh, and it's the new Jean-Claude Van Damme film. And yes, the Muscles from Brussels.
You are going to do this as your trailer?
I am totally doing this as my trailer.
I didn't know that you were going to do this because I thought that it was inappropriate to do autobiographical films as your trailer. I thought that was a rule. Go ahead.
Well, this is based on my true story.
This is how it went down.
Yeah, it is how it. And I'm surprised that they picked Van Damme to play me.
I am not at all.
It does kick butt just like I do. So it fits quite well. But no, this is so. Apparently, the story goes, Van Damme is intending to donate his kidney to his niece who needs a transplant or she's going to die. But what happens? He wakes up in a bathtub and somebody has stolen his kidney. And so now he has to pursue, it looks like the Chinese mafia or something, with his brother who is clearly not in the loop on exactly how much butt his Van Damme can actually kick. And now they have to go on a chase to try to track down his kidney so he can get it back to his niece.
These things happen in this part of the world. Perhaps it is best if you just let it go.
It's mine. I want it back.
Are you expecting someone?
No. Let him go. It's my brother.
How much time do we have?
Maybe 10 hours until it goes to somebody else. Then we should hurry.
You do not know what your brother does for a living. So he and our expert.
Kidnap and rescue is all fine, but what I'm really good at is killing people.
Just sounds so dumb.
Now don't know. I don't want to like dive into the waters of verisimilitude too deeply here. But I do feel like it's appropriate for me to ask. Judging by the trailer, he is up and actually performing the kicking of butts within hours of waking up in the bathtub of ice.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, would you agree that is an appropriate physical way to kind of test your physical recovery after a kidney donation?
Well, you're certainly putting your body to the test by doing that.
Is that something that you did?
I don't know.
Did you just say, go to your wife and say, please, honey, just kick me real hard in the side and just see if I can take it if I'm ready to take on the mob?
And then let me chase down a car and kick through the window while it's driving away.
That was good.
That was pretty brilliant. Yeah, maybe it's because they went through his back and not through his front.
Oh, right. No, maybe that's it.
Maybe that is allowing him a little more flexibility to actually perform some of the amazing feats that he does.
It is a trailer full of amazing feats, but the one that is most amazing is just waking up in a bathtub full of ice. I thought that was I would not want to even do that.
You're right.
When are you going to be seeing this film?
It's right now it's just listed as it's listed as DVD. It looks like it might be a straight to DVD premiere May 2015.
Are you serious? Straight to DVD? Oh, sacre bleu.
No Memorial Day premiere for this one.
Yes, opening weekend, January 7th. I'm not kidding. Just because you did the trailer, I'm probably going to see it.
I actually want to, just because the whole notion is so preposterous of everything that he's doing over the course of the story, while he's trying to save his kidney.
So good. That's rich. It's a rich comedy.
Absolutely nuts.
My trailer is I don't know, I want to say it's the exact opposite of yours, but I'm not sure that it is. The powers that be are plumbing the depths of British literary history once again, setting a not quite so classic romantic tragedy in modern day Los Angeles, Thugville. My trailer this week is Anarchy, based on the Shakespeare play of the same name, but instead of letting us actually enjoy a tale of Imogen and her love with Leonatus and her father the king's bitter disdain of their secret marriage, we get a gang of biker thugs and dirty cops and a drug lord and lots of Shakespearean English in American English accents. And it's weird. Again, I don't get it.
Let there be no honor, truth, love, where there's another man.
Is it enough? I'm sorry.
The plug line for this thing is a mashup of Sons of Anarchy with Game of Thrones. It's probably apt. I'm not sure if it actually makes me any more excited to see this film. Stunningly, the only reason I'm even mildly interested in the film is the cast. Ethan Hawke, who I'm having kind of a revitalized dalliance with. There was a time when I was really tired of Ethan Hawke, but I really like Ethan Hawke now. Ed Harris, Mila Jovovich, John Leguizamo, Anton Yelchin, Dakota Johnson, and Penn Badgley. Director Michael... Oh, you're going to mess me up on this one, aren't you?
I don't think so.
Almereyda?
Pretty good.
Almereyda delivered Hamlet back in 2000, also starring Ethan Hawke. I saw it back then. Did you see it?
I never saw that one. That's the one that was kind of like in the business world or something, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, indeed. And I have very little memory of it beyond, again, the cast. Kyle MacLachlan, Sam Shepard, Liev Schreiber, Julia Stiles... Julia, and wait for it, Bill Murray as Polonius. So I guess it did something for these Shakespeare rehashes. Julia Stiles obviously went on the next year to do Tim Blake Nelson's remake of Othello, all of them the spiritual successors to 1996's Romeo plus Juliet with Leo. All that is to say that what with Joss Whedon's backyard update of Much Ado About Nothing in 2012, are we on a weird resurgence of Shakespeare in Los Angeles stories? And really, is that such a good thing? Agony started floating around festivals in 2014, but hits a wide-ish release, March 13th, 2015. What did you think?
Well, I always have a hard time with these Shakespeare stories when they are put in modern world. It seems so anachronistic for people in modern day to be speaking this way, and I always struggle with it. And I don't know. I think it looks interesting. I like the vibe of it overall, and maybe that will help carry it through, but again, it's not something that jumps up and screams, "Come watch me right now."
Can you articulate for me? I mean, I have such a hard time, and I see all of these films. I do. I don't know why. I should just not go. But I see them all, and I have the same frustration as you do. Like the language just it doesn't work for me, and I have such a hard time understanding why we don't just write the new script. Just modernize the language. You're going to modernize the film, keep the story, write the new script. I can't understand the value of the language. And, for some reason, I've seen a lot of stage performances of Shakespeare done in different times and places, eras, and cultures. And for some reason, that works for me better. I've seen 1940s Hamlet, and these things... They just hold better when you see them live on stage for me. The films just don't. Do you know why? Can you tell me why this is something that directors feel is important?
I don't know. I mean, everybody wants to have their take on it. That's what it is. And to a certain extent, there's there's a certain audience that you can guarantee will see it because they like to just go watch all the different Shakespeares and stuff, and it's something that people can be talking about. I mean, I'd never even heard of this play before, Cymbeline.
Yeah, it's rumored to have been from the early 1600s.
Yeah, they said it was lost or something.
Yeah, so. Not one of the more popular ones.
Yeah,
it's like they have run out they've run out of things to do. But it's it's hard for me to watch any other Shakespeare film after Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. I mean, I think Tom Stoppard he put the last nail in the Shakespeare coffin with that film. That was so wonderful. And frankly, such a wonderful adaptation of Shakespearean English for the period, for a period film. It was just great.
Yeah.
So that's mine.
All right.
Well, Andy, some men get the world, others get ex-hookers and a trip to Arizona.
They were three cops who had nothing in common.
Freeze! Big V, what are you doing here? Hey, me, I'm keeping the streets safe, boys.
One would do anything to get ahead.
You truly prepared to be despised within a department? Yes, sir, I am.
One had his own brand of justice.
How's it going to look in your report? It'll look like justice. That's what the man got.
And one loved the spotlight.
What exactly do you do on the show, Jack?
I teach Brett Chase how to walk and talk like a cop.
The Night Owl Massacre. This is a heinous crime that requires swift resolution. 6 victims. One of them, one of our own. Interrogations will be led by Lieutenant Eben Exley.
I need some backup. Come on.
All right, college boy, I'll help.
Now, all of them are faced with solving one case.
Don't move! I want confessions, Edmund.
Oh, I'll break them, sir. These people are all in the morgue. And someone has to pay for it.
There's something wrong with the Night Owl. I just can't prove it.
They thought they had it all figured out.
Anything bothering you about the Night Owl case? The fact that you guys won't let it get filed away.
I didn't kill nobody!
But what started as a murder...
You talk only to me on this one.
...became a mystery that could cost them everything.
Why was Susan Lefferts at the Night Owl?
I don't know. I never heard of the Night Owl till today.
How about some payback, big time?
We need evidence.
I'll get the evidence.
It was an information exchange.
Do you have any proof? The proof had his throat slit.
What do you want, Exley?
I just want to solve this thing.
Even if it means paying the consequences?
Academy Award winner Kevin Spacey, Russell Crowe, Guy Pearce, James Cromwell, Kim Basinger, Danny DeVito. L.A. Confidential.
L.A. Confidential, Andrew. 1997 was a good year.
It was a big year.
It was a big year. This film went right up again and held its own pretty well against the Titanic of films. Titanic, from this one from director Curtis Hanson, and Brian Helgeland penned the script with Hanson, based on the book L.A. Confidential by James Ellroy, starring just a fantastic cast. Kevin Spacey, Russell Crowe, and Guy Pearce make up our triumvirate of L.A. police heroes. James Cromwell as the captain, Kim Basinger as the bombshell, Danny DeVito.
I believe she goes by Basinger.
Oh, see, of course you would say that. It is Basinger. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
She doesn't with me, though.
Oh, of course not.
And Danny DeVito as the scummy little reporter.
That's right.
Yeah. David Strathairn as the rich pornographer. And I was very excited to see Ron Rifkin as the district attorney, Ellis Lowe. Rifkin, who we became great friends with our family as we watched him each week on Alias back in the day. Remember that show?
I do. I
show.
never watched it, but I do remember the show. I know.
That's a real shame.
I know.
Yeah. So, how did this all? First of all, when's the last time you saw it, and how did it hold up on this viewing?
I saw it. I feel like it's been a while. It's probably been at least, I'd say 5 to 10 years that I've seen this. But it holds up so well. Every time I've seen this, I find it just such a strong film. I think of the films from that were nominated for Best Picture in 97, I think this one actually holds up the best of the lot. Of Titanic, As Good as It Gets, The Full Monty, Good Will Hunting, and this, I would pick this over those other ones. I can see why Titanic would still, you could still claim it as the winner. It's awfully grand. I think James Cameron has just an amazing ability to put a film together and to weave an amazing story using amazing technology. But I think this film is the strongest of the lot. I think it's got amazing characters, which Titanic, one could argue, certainly lacks in the script department. The characters just are unforgettable in this. They aren't necessarily characters that jump out at you as ones that you like right away. There's definitely issues with each of them that make them kind of a little bit unlikable, but also likable. And I think it's a really interesting way to play the characters. And each of them have their own journey, which is also great to see, and kind of how they grow over the course of the film. And just the film in general, the story, I think, works really well every time I've seen it. And I love what it does with the city of Los Angeles for 1953, I believe is when it takes place. I absolutely love this film.
I do too. I think so much works really, really well in this film. I'm with you on the characters. I mean, particularly in the sort of parallel stories that we see unfold between Ed Exley, Bud White, and Jack Vincennes as they are each working a different angle of this particular case that eventually comes together and meets in the middle. It's a wonderfully thrilling and yet I think I don't know. It's not sort of a sluggish pace, but it is a methodical pace of the film. So by the time you hit the third act and we lose Jack Vincennes' character, I think I'm absolutely locked in. I think what the film does really well is in the hands of Hanson and Helgeland. The script, I think, it does a really nice job with language. I think there is a sense of homage to the period. There's an homage to the genre of film that this is really holding itself up against. And I love the way it bounces between the more sort of caricature of the noir with Danny DeVito's character, and then to a little bit more plausible kind of language between the three main characters. I think it works really, really well. And yet I do have some new problems with it that I didn't think I ever had. I know, right?
Tell me.
For me, it's not noir enough, and I don't mean in the execution by the actual sort of character or story. Visually, it's not noir enough. Tell me you don't see that a little bit. Like you're walking, what I'm used to when I'm seeing these kinds of stories is I'm seeing the low angles, the high angles, right? I'm seeing the playing with light in more sort of harsh shadows. In that respect, I think $1 Million Baby did a much more sort of admirable job of delivering on the visual style or the lighting style that I would have wanted to see in this film. Maybe it's the period, whatever, but the other. I should say the period that the film in which the film was made, whatever. But I think between the cinematography not being quite risky enough for me, not being quite dramatic enough for me, the editing was a little bit sluggish for me. Now, the cinematography was in the hands of the wonderful Dante Spinati and Peter Honus, the editor, and I think between the two, the playing it safe cinematography and the rather sluggish editing, I found myself really like it stuck out to me that it felt there were periods where it just felt like the film was slowing down. And some weird choices. I'll give you one example, and then I'll shut up. When Ed Exley goes to meet, what's her name? You know her name, Lynn Bracken. Mm-hmm. When Ed Exley goes to meet Lynn Bracken, he walks in, and there's a dramatic turn, right? There's a dramatic turn. He talks to her for a little bit, and then he passes her. He walks into the house, and then he has one line, and he says the full line while staring at a wall. And he's like too close to the wall. And then he turns after he finishes delivering the line. He turns around. And the whole time I'm thinking, you're an idiot. What are you doing? Like, what is the possible reason for you to have the camera right on your shoulders and the back of your head as long as it was? It just was like an eternal lingering shot on the back of his head in the space of this scene. And it made his turn really, really awkward. And those little elements, those little pieces of it's like a speed bump in the visual narrative of the film, and I found myself really more bothered by it than I ever have been.
That's interesting. I'd have to look at that scene again to catch the specific shot that you're looking at.
Well, and it's not the only one. I mean, I feel those little, it's like a little punctuation, like a little ellipses in the visual style of the film that happens throughout. And I found was troublesome. Go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, it's interesting. I think that you might, speaking specifically of the cinematography by Dante Spinotti, I think you may be looking for more noir from this than there should be, because I don't think it was ever intended to have a noir feel. I think the look the entire time was to have kind of that police thriller feel from the 40s, not necessarily noir. And I don't know if I would really classify this in the noir category specifically. I mean, I guess there's a sense you could call Lynn kind of a femme fatale, although I don't know if I'd really say that, except maybe how the scenes play out with Exley. But I don't feel like there's that putting this into the camp of noir works for me. I think crime thriller is much more where it fits, and with that, I think it gets everything right. And I think the look of it absolutely taps into what I was expecting for this world, and I think the look fits with the vibe of 1950s LA. And works really well in context of the characters that we're watching.
Huh. I don't know if I don't know how that sits with me. That this is not a noir film to you, a neo-noir.
No, it's a crime. It's a crime. This is a crime thriller. I mean, a noir typically is going to have your hero who is going to get brought down over the course of the story and end up much worse off than they started. And I mean, we're going to be talking about noir in a series coming soon, so we're certainly going to have a lot of opportunity to talk noir. But I don't think I would. I mean, this is really it's a crime thriller. I don't think I ever would have classified this as noir. I mean, I would say it has some noirish elements, but I don't think I would call it a noir.
Well, I think that's what's so interesting about it, is that it fits inside the genre, and what they did with it was interesting enough to play with it. Like in particular, right, the femme fatale, right? She is, in her relationship with Exley, she fits the stereotype, but in her relationship with Bud, she absolutely does not, and that's what makes it an interesting play on the way the film fits inside the genre. That's what gives us the contrast in our expectation. But I'm even, and I should do this here. I just want to see what the great Wikipedia says.
Well, they call it a neo-noir.
They do? It's on the list?
Yeah, it says a neo-noir crime film.
And then you go to main article, film noir, or neo-noir. Well,
but it's a neo-noir. It's not.
It is neo-noir. I know. I went to the wrong. I clicked the wrong thing. Just go easy on me. Elements of film. See, this is what is in my head, right? Of what a neo-noir is. It takes these classic themes and classic styles of film noir and updates them with these elements of either cultural relationship elements, sexual elements, or gender elements in particular. These things that they didn't play with in traditional noir films, that were not available in the 40s and 50s themselves. So that's where I think this really does, it really does fit. And it's certainly, I mean, I have a hard time just with the visual style, the way the film opens, right? The over the monologue of Danny DeVito. And on the QT, very hush hush. The smash zoom on the words on the typewriter. I think it just those sorts of sequences just scream noir to me.
I mean, I can see what you're saying. I just don't agree with you. And yes, they call it a neo-noir. I would say, okay, I can see that it's playing with some of the elements that, like it says, that they didn't necessarily deal with in noir films at the time. But at the same time, I feel like the main focus of this is not what you would typically see in a noir, which is kind of just a dark story of somebody's downfall, essentially. This one really is. I mean, it's we're following some police officers as they, these three officers, as they're investigating separate crimes that they realize all are tied into the exact same crime. And they work to solve the crime and resolve the story. And that's what happens. I mean, yes, one of the officers does die, but, I don't know. I guess I just have a hard time with the definition of this being a noir. And I even a neo-noir, I mean, I would say some of the elements, but...
Well, and we've talked about this before. I think you're actually on the record as saying you don't even really like the neo-noir term, right?
Well, no. I mean, I think noir really kind of had a definitive end, and I don't know. Did I ever say that? I don't think I ever.
Was it back when we talked about what else did we talk about that was neo noir?
I don't remember.
Have we talked about anything that fits in the bill? God, we've been doing this too long. Anyway, the point is I think what I'm hearing you say is all about the we're not dealing so much with the conflicted anti-heroes, that these guys are in prime case. Ed Exley is a hero.
Right.
But is he? He ends up being a hero who absolutely takes advantage of his situation and blackmails senior political officials. And I mean, he's not a good guy. He does the right thing, but not for the right reasons. Bud White, very similar tale. He's a thug, right? He's a thug who ends up in these situations, but he is not a good guy. He does not do things by the law, by the book. He does things his own way to meet his own ends. Jack Vincennes is constantly on the dole, on taking blackmail, taking bribes. These are not good guys. These are anti-heroes, if there ever were anti-heroes, right? So
yes, they're like the Captain Smith says. I mean, they are anti-heroes in the sense that they're doing it because they're trying to achieve a good outcome in the end, right? Like Bud White may like what does he say? He's just willing to say yes to some of the questions I ask you from time to time. Those questions being like, are you willing to plant evidence on somebody that you know is guilty but you just don't have it? Like that sort of stuff. And I mean, obviously it's against the law, but I mean it's achieving what is right in the end. It's just doing it in an illegal way.
Yes. And is that not a definition? One possible definition of this conflicted kind of anti-hero character?
I think right. I think there is an element of that in this definition of neo-noir, and that is an element that you're right. They are playing with that in this film. They're playing with these characters who are supposed to be, they're police officers. They're supposed to be good characters, representatives of what is right. But here we see them
constantly doing what's wrong.
Constantly, doing things for their own reasons. Exley is getting ahead by blackmailing people, like you say, or he's willing to squeal, whatever it takes so that he can get ahead. And so, they each have their own reasons for doing the things that they do. That, I think, can play into the reason that they're calling this a neo-noir. I still just don't totally buy into it, but I can go along with it. But going back to your original point, I don't think that means that the style, like the camera work, needs to feel noirish. Like, I don't feel like they needed to have these low angles, high angles, these crazy shots, these drastic shadowy scenes and everything in order to kind of complete that noirish feel. I don't think that was necessary, and I think that the way that they chose to make it look actually works really well.
And on that point, we disagree.
Yes, we do.
For me, really, the bottom line is, for me, if they're going to play with some of these conflicted characters, if they're going to give us, if they're going to dance around the visual elements of noir, if they're going to dance around the colors and tones of updating sort of the sentiment of noir, and they're not going to use more striking use of light, more striking use of shadow, the low-key lighting, and the crazy bananas camera placement, then it just doesn't go quite far enough for me. That does not mean, however, that I do not supremely adore this movie. I really do. I think it's just terrific. And I'm so. Where do we go from here? How do we reconcile this?
We're going to have to duke them out.
We're going to have to duke it out.
Swords at dawn.
That's right. All right, I can do it. Let's talk just a little bit about our main characters, shall we?
I think it's a fantastic trio. Jack Vincennes, Kevin Spacey, the American of the cast. We'll have to talk about that here because I think that's kind of an interesting element. He works so well as this cop who is, he's a technical advisor on this police TV show that's a riff of Dragnet. And, it's his baby because he loves the attention it gets for him. And Kevin Spacey does that so well. He plays that line brilliantly of this cop who does his job, but wants to kind of live in the spotlight, which isn't necessarily where cops always live, but he loves it. And that's kind of his, Guy Pearce at Exley knows, that's his, the chink in his armor, because that's how you get to him.
Yeah, exactly. And that was, that's how they end up kind of finding their middle ground. That's how they discover one another. Is Ed Exley is watching him be tested in this way in front of the DA, as the DA essentially tells him, you're going to be busted back and you're off the show unless you squeal a little bit. And that I think for me, Kevin Spacey, I think I discovered Kevin Spacey in The Usual Suspects.
Really?
Yeah, but
not in whatchamacallit, Glengarry Glen Ross.
I knew about it, but when I say discovered, I really felt like this is a guy I'm gonna be seriously watching.
Oh, okay, sure.
But this was the film that really I think I think it demonstrates his what's the word? It's just his presence, right?
Yes.
He wasn't a character; he was just incredibly large on screen. He was huge. He was a movie star.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Which works. That's why he works so well for this character.
Yeah, he really did. He just dominates his character. And same for Bud White. He was a thug. He was just muscle, and he was Russell Crowe, I think, was a fantastic turn of this film. And when he takes his shirt off, he was a little soft, right? He looked like just a big, hulking kind of thug, and especially compared to these days. He's definitely cut up a little bit compared to this film.
Interestingly, Curtis Hanson. He saw Romper Stomper, which is an early Russell Crowe film. Which, if you haven't seen, it's a tough one to watch because he's a neo-Nazi, and it's a little brutal. But you can see why Curtis Hanson would want to cast him because Crowe is pretty brilliant in it. But he also Hanson had in his mind Aldo Ray, which we talked about on the We're No Angels Christmas episode a few years ago.
Right.
And Aldo Ray had that kind of bulky build and looked like that guy who could take you down. And he had Aldo Ray in his mind with this part. And I think he gave a photo of Aldo Ray to Russell Crowe as kind of his reference point. And Russell Crowe kept that photo in his script, like through all the rehearsals and into the making of this film, which I think it just works so well to just create this sense of who this character is, and not just the sense that he's the muscle and he's not afraid to help the captain out by beating up some people in order to get them to leave town or whatever. But you also have this amazing story with him where he is clearly has had some dark family drama in his past, where his father beat his mother to death and he was chained to the radiator and had to watch. And it's just like this horrific story that he tells about what happened. And now he's got this thing about people who abuse their wives or their girlfriends. And it's a really interesting character element that that was written into this character initially by Ellroy and then subsequently by Helgeland, and it just is a great turn for this character that is so violent, but also just gets so angry with people who are violent toward women, that I found really interesting, and then also really powerful when he has that that break in him because the fact that that Exley slept with Bracken.
Yeah, he comes off as really very sweet in his rage, and when he goes to confront Lynn Bracken after he discovers that Ed Exley and Bracken had slept together, his rage is at the same time so incredibly powerfully innocent, and that makes it just so much more primal. It makes it really, it's so easy to buy it. He felt like somebody who was just sort of cooked as an adolescent and never quite emotionally expanded past 15, 16 years old, and could only respond in this thuggish, brutish, primal kind of fashion. I thought he just pulled it off really, really well.
Yeah, he's so great in the role.
He's a Kiwi.
He is a Kiwi and grew up in Australia. He's one of the two casting choices that the producers were a little perplexed by, with Curtis Hanson, who was looking for faces that Americans hadn't seen before, or at least on the big stage. And there was a lot of debate about whether they were going to let him have Russell Crowe and the next one, Guy Pearce, as two of the three leads.
Yeah. Had you seen anything from Guy Pearce before this?
I had seen The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
See, I know I had seen that, but I had not made any connection to Guy Pearce by the time I saw L.A. Confidential. I saw Priscilla, Queen. It was one of those things. I saw Queen of the Desert long after and thought, well, clearly this movie came after L.A. Confidential. I had no sense. It was several years before, right? Wasn't Queen of the Desert like 93?
It was 94. 94, yeah.
Yeah, so, it was, I was certainly out of touch. But, wow, he was just perfect for this role. He was just perfect as the captain says, he's a political animal.
Yeah, he's really frightening in a large way. He's kind of the most frightening character of the bunch, even though by the end, you can't help but just love the guy and really be on his side as he teams up with the other two. But man, he's just he's clean cut. He does everything by the book. So much so to the point that he is willing to let other officers fall when he knows that they're wrong by squealing on them so that he can move up in rank. And he does it several times in the film. And at times he is hated by his fellow officers because of what he does. But then there are times when he actually proves that he actually is really good at what he does, and he actually, gets the accolades, and everybody is like, "Hey, good job, good job." And so he does prove his worth of these advances that he gets. But man, he goes through so much, flack from everybody else that it's just, is it worth it? But to him, it is, and he plays that so well with this character.
One of the things I like so much about his portrayal of this character, I think he addresses it a little bit in character at the very last sequence. It's that throughout the course of the film, you're never quite sure if he has intentionally sort of put the machine in motion to get what he wants, or if he is just slightly behind that particular 8-ball where he is just taking advantage of a situation in his favor, right? Mm-hmm. I'm never quite sure if he is just diabolically political or if he's naturally political. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I think my sense has always been that he's just naturally political. He doesn't look at it like, I'm going to screw these people over to get to the better spot. It just seems like he just has his end game set in his head as to where he wants to be.
And I think that's what I mean, at the end he says, when he says to Lynn Bracken, he says, yeah, they're using me, I'm going to use them for a while. That there is a quid pro quo in this relationship. And it seems very much like the DA and his sort of police leadership understand that too.
Yeah.
But he is also from New Zealand.
He's from Australia.
Oh, yeah, he's from Australia. His parents were born in New Zealand. His father was born in New Zealand. His mother's English. Look at that.
Yeah, English. I think I think he was born in London or somewhere in England, but raised in Australia.
In Cambridgeshire, England. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was terrific.
Yeah, and it's just it always struck me so funny because if you see the poster or the box art for this, Kim Basinger is like the most predominant figure on the poster, and then Kevin Spacey is a little bit behind her, and then way in the back you've got Russell Crowe and Guy Pearce, because nobody knew who they were, and they just didn't have the power to contractually get their head sized the same as everybody else. So they're way in the back, and it's like, come on, it's their story. I mean, Kim Basinger is a critical character in the story, and I think she does a fine job in the film. But having her like way up in front, just aside from helping continue that noirish element, I guess, by putting kind of that femme fatale sort of figure on the cover, it just always has struck me as odd.
Well, it definitely serves two masters there, right? That you're right. It serves to continue the noir image. It's accentuated cleavage. As long as we're noticing things while walking down the theater hall, we're going to notice that.
Exactly.
And I think it serves the mission of the film too, right? The intention of the film that these three guys ultimately are working, to get closer and closer to her or to woman, right? As it, this is all around a porn ring and trying to solve kind of her mystery,
right? Yeah,
which I think is super interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So. That is funny, though. Boy, Russell Crowe, it's like, is he even there? I think his head's the size of the O in Hollywood, way in the back.
Right, he's so tiny.
It's actually a little bit blurry.
It's hard to tell who they are.
Yeah,
so
that's
sad.
Pretty good.
So sad.
James Cromwell.
Yeah, we just talked about his first film, a month ago or so?
Yeah, was that perfect? That was Murder by Death.
Uh-huh. And here he is, Captain Dudley Smith.
He was. What did you think of old Dudley Smith?
Oh, I think he's great. I think he's a great character. I think he plays that balance of knowing how to work with all of these different types of cops really well, and that's something I don't think you see very often in police thrillers. You always seem to have the detective who, like the captain, like gets along with, or the captain just yells at all the time, right? Mm-hmm. This is this really interesting captain who understands how Bud White works and knows how to use him and play him. He understands how Ed Exley works and knows how to use him and play him. And likewise with Jack Vincennes. And I find that so much more refreshing and possibly honest as how you would depict an actual captain in a police force. I really like that in Dudley Smith's character.
I do too. I think one of the things that comes off very early in the film is you see his character evolve. And I guess I should say his character doesn't necessarily evolve, but as the layers of this particular onion are peeled back and we discover what he was, actually doing, he starts out really quite paternal. And I really like that. I like that his sensibility is to take care of Exley and to sort of shepherd him into the force in a particular way, to look out for him. And once you understand where he is coming from and where his final sort of mission leads him, I mean, he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
And once you kind of get a sense of that twist is sort of the ultimate kind of paternal betrayal, as everybody realizes that this guy who was looking out for him, who was taking him under his wing, who was taking Bud White under his wing and bringing him into this alternate force to beat up out of town gangsters and such. It's hurtful because you love James Cromwell. boyo. You just love him. You want him to be. You want him to be the caretaker. You want him to be dad, and I think he plays that really, really well.
Well, especially, I mean, this was just a couple years after That'll Do, Pig, That'll Do.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, God, you could not help but love that man as the farmer in that film, because it's just so, he played that so heartwarming, and it was such a, I mean, it was a very sweet film. But as Farmer Hoggett, to see him turn into this character who has this dark streak in him that he has in LA Confidential, it really kind of breaks that for you. Mm-hmm. And I think he does that balance between those two really well.
Do you watch Boardwalk Empire at all?
I haven't watched that. It's one that I keep meaning to, but haven't checked it out.
I know it's going to be one that I'm going to binge one day. I have not watched it either, but I love looking at his stills from Boardwalk Empire. He looks like such an interesting character, and I'm very curious, especially now after seeing this one again. I'm really curious how he plays in that show. I think I'm going to have to pick that up, season 1.
Yeah, he's somebody who is he just always busy.
Yeah.
Busy. He did what was that great film he did a couple years ago, Still Mine? I don't know if you saw that, but really just kind of a quiet but really powerful film about a man who's trying to build his house for his dying wife on this plot of land of theirs, and dealing with the government, the local government, because they keep coming in and saying, well, you don't have the right permits, you don't have this, you don't have that. And it's a pretty brilliant character piece for him.
Wow, I did not see it. I'll check it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who else? Kim Basinger.
Kim Basinger, she won her Oscar for this.
It's Basinger. Just say it like it needs to be said.
Oh, Pete.
Danny DeVito.
What is this? Guy Pearce? Guy Pearce.
Guy Pearce. David Strathairn. All right, go ahead.
I like Kim. I think that she's enjoyable to watch in the right roles. I don't think that happens too often for her. I think she picks a lot of just makes bad choices a lot. I loved her in Cellular. I loved her in 8 Mile. Man, she was in a movie with Tom Hanks. Elvis Has Left the Building. Ooh, man, there's a terrible, terrible film. Don't watch that one.
What about Vicky Vale?
Oh, that's right. And was Honey Hornay in Wayne's World 2?
Yep.
I mean, she's done some good stuff. She's done a lot of stuff that I just think is garbage. But this, she won her Oscar for this, and I think she did a great job as this type of character. This is one of those roles that it's like, when you cast the right person, they can do great things with the role. I think this is why some of the women win for roles that Woody Allen writes for them. Jennifer Tilly, I think, comes to mind. I don't think that she screams Oscar-winning actress normally, but because she was cast by Woody Allen in the perfect role in what was the name of the film? The Broadway one.
Bullets Over Broadway?
Bullets Over Broadway. He knew to cast the exact right person for the role, and she ended up winning an Oscar for it. Same thing with Kim here. She plays this prostitute who is cut to, well, not necessarily cut, but is meant to look like a movie star from Days Gone By. And but she brings that kind of gravitas and sadness and presence to the role that I think she did a good job here.
When she enters, right, she gets an entrance, and she doesn't get a walk-on entrance, but she gets an entrance that is a little bit heart-stopping. They're in the liquor store, and all you see is the back of her head, and she's wearing a big black velvet cloak with a white silk kind of fringe around the inside. But you don't see her. All you see are her fingernails, and you see a little bit maybe of her nose as Bud White kind of gets closer to her, and then she turns her head, and it is a wonderful cut as we get to see her framed, and she's just immaculate. She's just a masterpiece of stereotype, but is really beautiful, and it is a stunning entrance for her character. Here is a funny thing, and I did not know this, I had not ever noted this. If you look at, you remember Cool World?
Yeah,
you remember that 1992? Yes. Ralph Bakshi, Gabriel Byrne, Kim Basinger, Brad Pitt. So you go look at the cover art of that film.
Yeah.
She's wearing the same dress.
Really?
Her cartoon is wearing practically the same dress. It's just short on Cool World.
That's really funny.
Uh-huh. It's all about the cleavage.
That is true. Mm-hmm. It is pretty much the same dress. That is funny.
It turns out funny. Hollywood.
Holly did.
Holly did. Yeah. Anyway, I thought she was delightful in this film. She was I thought she played a really subdued, confident. It's another weird contrast that we have this character who ends up being subdued and confident, and yet she's also subservient to her pimp.
Yeah,
which is one of those really sort of catastrophic kind of emotional relationships that's very painful to watch, and yet I think she pulled it off really, really well.
Do you think that she should have won the Oscar? The other nominees were Joan Cusack for In and Out, Minnie Driver for Good Will Hunting, Julianne Moore for Boogie Nights, and Gloria Stewart for Titanic.
I think probably Julianne Moore.
That's who I would say.
Yeah, I mean, she was really great in that film, and. No disrespect.
No, none at all. Boogie Nights was one of those films, though, that you knew probably was not going to win any Oscars.
Yeah.
A little too hard. Now, what about Brian Helgeland? Do you think that this script should have won? It was up against, this was Best Adapted Screenplay, L.A. Confidential, Donnie Brasco by Paul Atanasio, The Sweet Hereafter, Adam Agoyan, Wag the Dog by Hilary Henkin and David Mamet, or The Wings of the Dove by Hossein Amini.
I have a hard time with this one. And I have a hard time particularly in hindsight because I'm generally not a great fan of Brian Helgeland's work.
I'm not either.
This was one of those films where I saw it, and this was really early in his career, right? I mean, in his sort of published career. He'd done the Nightmare on Elm Street 4, the Dream... I'm a Dream... Oh, no, he was Dream Master. He didn't do the Dream Warriors. That was number 3. But so he'd done a bunch of like horror stuff, and up through Assassins...
976 Evil.
Yeah, 972.
Oh my god, I watched that a lot when I was a kid.
Assassins, Richard Donner's film, but also got credit, Andy and Lana Wachowski. So that was a terrible film. And then he gets this one, and I remember walking out of this thinking, man, I need to give that guy a look. And then he comes back with like Conspiracy Theory and The Postman, and like, oh my goodness, Payback was. I enjoyed Payback. I thought Payback was great, but I didn't like the way it was edited. The re-release was much better.
Payback was his. That was his directorial debut too.
Yeah, I like that. And Knight's Tale is not memorable. I don't remember hating it.
Well, but Knight's Tale, I mean, I think as the writer-director for that one, I think he was playing with the conventions a lot, though, which I thought was at least more fun. I think that was a more fun take on it.
Yeah.
He made it feel more modern, even though it was set in the period of the medieval times. But I thought that he played with that one nicely. I thought that was fun.
And then I think I remember thinking fondly of Mystic River and... Green Zone and Man on Fire. Man on Fire obviously is coming from a book. Was Green
we
Zone,
talked about it in
Green
42
Zone adaptation too? No. Yes.
No.
Rajiv Chandrasekaran. So in terms of adaptations, he's of those that I have seen, I think of him fondly. But generally, I mean, of his 23 credits, I'm not a huge fan of his, and so I have a hard time saying, yeah, he is a surefire. He absolutely should have won the Oscar for this film. It's a great film, but I'm not sure that it's an Oscar-winning script.
Well, I don't know. I would argue, because, I mean, we've both read the book.
Yeah.
And I think the book is an incredible, incredible read. It's very dense, a lot of characters, a lot of different people that you're following. I think it's like 7 or 8 different characters that you're following, and they condensed this down to these 3 cops and really made it their story. And I think that the script, as far as an adaptation goes, I think this was really, really spot on. I mean, I love Donnie Brasco. Wag the Dog, I remember very fondly. The Wings of the Dove, I know I saw it, and same with Sweet Hereafter. I don't know. I guess I would still go LA Confidential. And really, it's the only one I know the source material from. I just think that as far as an adaptation goes, it was a really strong adaptation.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I don't feel like I'm confident enough in the others, but I like your point. I mean, and to your point, I think if you're judging this on the structure that you have to build and take down in order to condense that book into a 2-hour and 12-minute screenplay, yeah, it's commendable work.
Yeah.
All right.
Here.
And Curtis Hanson.
And Curtis Hanson, he for me fits into the Brian Helgeland world.
Exactly.
The man who brought us, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle and The River Wild, and then here he is doing LA Confidential.
Yeah, Evil Town. Losing it.
Ugh.
Yeah, terrible. Bedroom Window, Bad Influence, and then right after LA Confidential, Wonder Boys, and then you thought, now we've got something. And then 8 Mile.
I think 8 Mile and In Her Shoes actually both were really good films.
Yeah, I agree. And so there was a little bit of a string. So it wasn't quite as kind of sporadic as Brian Helgeland, but then I didn't see Lucky You or Chasing Mavericks.
I haven't seen either of those either.
So,
Lucky You, I remember.
Eric Bana and Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, I remember it not getting very good reviews. And Chasing Mavericks, I don't even know much about that one. Oh, that was that surfing movie.
Yeah, it's a surfing one. Yeah. So I don't know much about that, but was it co-directed by Michael Apted?
Mm-hmm.
How's that work?
They make it work.
Gerard Butler.
But he did have those. He did have those 4 films right there in the middle: LA Confidential, Wonder Boy, 8 Mile, In Her Shoes. I memean, definitely LA Confidential, Wonder Boys, I think, are the strongest of the lot.
Absolutely.
Wonder Boys is just one of my favorites. But he just strikes me as, well, I think the thing is, he came out of being kind of a director who is really a director for hire. He was brought on to projects to do something with it. Like, hey, we were going to do this script, The River Wild. We want you to direct it because you did you did Hand That Rocks the Cradle and it worked really well. I think that's exactly the type of director he was. It's just that this material, and the same goes for Brian Helgeland, they both had latched onto this material kind of outside of the world of Hollywood. They just both had fallen in love with it. And it's the same story for both. And when they heard that that Warner Brothers wanted to make it, they both independently came forward and wanted to be a part of it and pushed. And it's just the fact that they were both so passionate about the material that it actually ended up working out so well.
Yeah, you can really tell that this was not made in the system, particularly other films at the time. I mean, if you're not making Titanic, you're not making films as sort of dark and clever as LA Confidential.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely terrific. So we'll see. Who knows what's coming next from Curtis Hanson? It doesn't look like there's anything in production. So he's taking some time off again.
Taking time off,
Who else? We've already talked about sort of editing and cinematography. Anything else strike you want to talk more about?
I think the rest of the nominees are good to bring up. Best Picture was nominated for that: Arnon Milchan, Curtis Hanson, Michael G. Nathanson. A strong picture. We already talked about it. The Janine Openwall and Jay Hart, the art director, set decorator, I think did a great job creating that period vibe in this film. You can argue it didn't strike you as noir enough, but I think it worked really well.
Well, and I would not. I mean, I think that in terms of just art design, it was beautiful. I thought it was. I thought they absolutely set the period. I regret that it wasn't photographed better. I turn the table on you.
Agree to disagree. Best sound. I particularly like this one because my IMDb nemesis Andy Nelson was nominated here.
Yes,
along with Anna Belmer and Kirk Francis. And you already mentioned Peter Honus for film editing, and one of my 10 J's, Jerry Goldsmith, was nominated for best score. And lost to James Horner for Titanic, which, I can understand that. But I do love the music that Goldsmith did in the film here. It really had a sense of the music he did for Chinatown, which also is a great L.A. period film.
Mm-hmm.
But this one just has... it just works so well for this story. It's got that kind of driving beat, that cop feel to it. And I think he really nailed it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it absolutely fit the time. It's beautiful, and it's listenable.
Yes,
you can put it on and enjoy it.
Yeah, it's got those great horns. It works so well.
Totally. Okay. Who else? Is that all the awards? Is that all?
Is that it? Yeah, it was nominated for 9, and Titanic won 7 of those, and the only other 2. L.A. Confidential one were Kim Basinger and Brian Helgeland and Curtis Hanson for the screenplay.
Is it weird a little bit that there were no... Well, maybe not. I mean, I guess playing a thuggish cop is not really even a supporting actor nomination.
I mean, honestly, I think that all 3 of the guys were good enough to have been nominated. The problem is when you have a film like this where essentially your protagonist is kind of split between 3 people and you've got 3 different people playing the protagonist.
Exactly.
It makes it hard for voters to, the people have to, the studio first has to go, well, which one are we going to get behind? Which one's the one we're going to push for the actor? Who are we going to push for supporting actor? It makes it very hard, and it makes it, it turns it into something where people just aren't going to end up getting nominated because of that split.
Because it was Good Will Hunting that won. It was Robin Williams that won that year for supporting actor, right?
Yeah, and then Jack Nicholson won for actor.
Right.
For As Good as It Gets.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that's one you like more than I do, isn't it?
I do love that film.
Yeah. I'm thinking about Robin Williams next to, again, as long as we're talking about Boogie Nights, Burt Reynolds.
Oh, yes.
Who turned in a fantastic performance, even though, as I understand it, he didn't want to do the film, even as he's doing the film. Burt Reynolds. Who else do you want to talk about on this thing? Are you feel sated?
I feel like I've kind of hit up everybody that I wanted to talk about. Any little tidbits about James Ellroy you wanted to bring up? I know this was part of his L.A. Quartet, the books that he wrote, the crime fiction novels that he wrote set in L.A. through the 40s and 50s. The Black Dahlia, The Big Nowhere, L.A. Confidential, and White Jazz. I haven't read any of them except for L.A. Confidential.
I have read Black Dahlia, which was terrific. I have not read The Big Nowhere, and I have not read White Jazz, but I did read American Tabloid, which I also really, really liked. And so this is one that, it's another one of those when we do these adaptation films, I get really excited about diving back into these books. And this is one that, in fact, I just picked up The Big Nowhere on my Kindle.
Nice.
So that I can dig back into it. They're just great books, and he's such a wonderful, wonderful crime writer.
Yeah, and I only saw the crappy Black Dahlia movie that Brian De Palma made.
Please don't. God.
It was just, I know. I know.
God. Brian is such a De Palma. All right. How did this one do? Pretty well, obviously, in the Oscars. How did it do in the box office?
It did well in the Oscars. It was not, obviously, as Titanic at the box office as Titanic was at the box office. This was, it's kind of that darker crime thriller that some people have a harder time clicking with. It cost $35 million to make. I couldn't find anything about prints and advertising, but it ended up they made domestically about $65 million and internationally about $61.6 million. So all told, when you adjust it and look at the profit per finished minute, it made about $960,000 per finished minute. So, it did well for itself. It succeeded in making money. and I think the studio can be happy with that. It won some awards, got nominated for a bunch of others, and it's in the green. And it's a great movie. I mean, critics love this movie.
Yeah, they certainly did. And I think rightfully so. We'll see. We'll see if we agree. I think it's time we rank it.
Let's do it.
Head over to flickchart.com/thenextreel, and you can check out our stack rankings of nearly 200 films that we've stacked on this list, and see if your favorites match our favorites. Let's go.
All right. First up, L.A. Confidential or Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
L.A. Confidential.
Absolutely. L.A. Confidential or City of God? L.A. Confidential for me.
I do love that City of God.
I do too.
I love it lots and lots. All right, L.A. Confidential.
L.A. Confidential or Fight Club?
Fight Club.
Why Fight Club?
I feel when I watch Fight Club, I have a deeply personal connection with that film, that I resonate with it and what these characters, and particularly our sort of dual personality protagonists, are going through in this film on sort of a primal level. Not that I'm, joining a Fight Club myself or making my own soap, but I really have I have a connection to that film, and I remember I didn't see it for the longest time, and when I finally did see it, it just moved right up in my own personal rankings very, very quickly.
Yeah.
I don't have that same connection apart from this is L.A. Confidential is a brilliant film. I don't have that kind of when I see it, does it hit a personal chord with me quite the same way?
I'll agree with you on that. I think that is pretty true. I just wanted you to remind me of it.
Good.
Thank you.
I could.
L.A. Confidential or The Sting? I would do L.A. Confidential. I know it's a tough one.
Wow. Oh, man. I feel like I owe you, but that feels dirty.
Come on, L.A. Confidential. It's a pretty strong film. Just because it wasn't shot the right way.
Well, it wasn't shot the right way. Thank you for admitting that. That's my new ringtone. Okay, I'll give you L.A. Confidential.
All right. Let's see. L.A. Confidential or The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly? Here I'd go The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Yeah, I think so.
L.A. Confidential or Pete's personal baseball favorite, Moneyball?
Dang it. Jeez, what do you think?
I would do L.A. Confidential. I love Moneyball dearly, don't get me wrong, but there's more, maybe it's just because it's a genre film, and I find it a little more thrilling to watch L.A. Confidential.
All right, I'll give it to you. Also because I have a friend who didn't like Moneyball, and he says, oh, that's the one where Brad Pitt throws a chair. Like, that's the only reason he remembered that film. Of all the wonderful reasons you could remember that film, he remembers Brad Pitt throws a chair.
That is so strange.
Yeah.
Very weird. Okay, L.A. Confidential or No Country for Old Men?
L.A. Confidential.
Let's see, here I would do No Country for Old Men.
How much?
Oh, this number scale just confuses me.
I could rock, paper, scissors you all day long. I'm feeling lucky, punk.
No Country for Old Men, I think, is just such a strong, haunting film. Such brilliant characters. They both have brilliant characters, but No Country for Old Men, I don't know. I think I just resonate more with the characters' journeys in that film. And Chigurh is pretty creepy as a villain.
He's absolutely creepy as a villain. I give you that. And in that respect, we don't have that kind of a strong creepy antagonist in L.A. Confidential. And, that saddens me a little bit. But in terms of their overall journey, there's more activity and more people to watch. And I find it a little bit more, the complexity of their relationships I find more interesting. And as beautiful as I think No Country for Old Men is, it is a beautiful film. It is really, and if my only qualm with LA Confidential is that, cinematography and editing is, not risky enough, I feel like No Country for Old Men makes up for it in just pure artistry in that regard. But I'm pretty solid. I'd say I'm an 8.
All right, well, if you're solid, I'll go with LA Confidential. I'll give it to you.
Okay. Well, I feel like I owe you even more.
That's right, you do.
Right. Go ahead.
I'll remember this. That's it.
Oh, that's it.
LA Confidential is number 28, right between Good, the Bad, and the Ugly and No Country for Old Men.
All right.
28 out of 174.
That
Pretty good, I'd say.
Feels pretty good. That feels pretty good. I don't know. There's a part of me that wanted to see it just, slide right up into the top 10, but I kind of wish it did. But yeah. All right. Well, and once again, we're not talking about where we're going next week.
I know. This is next week's going to be the final of our 4 mystery connection films.
Okay, so what's the rule? Next week, you're going to hear the movie, you're going to listen to the podcast, you're going to hear the movie that we do, and then at the end of that episode, we're going to give you instructions on the race.
Oh,
right?
Really?
Yeah.
I thought we already gave instructions, didn't we?
No, there's a hashtag, right, that we're gonna say what you have to do to actually win. Because it's a race. It's like the first. It's first.
So the first person to get through the show, hear the hashtag,
and get it right. You have to get the answer right. You have to get the answer right. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Is that fair? Do we agree? Are we in violent agreement?
I think so.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right. I gotta go to bed.
All right. I got an issue of Hush Hush to read. My Amazon review is by Eric in Napa, California.
Excellent.
Who gave it 1 star.
I love his work.
Said Kim Basinger paid for her Oscar because she didn't deserve it for this movie.
Ooh.
When I saw this movie, it was a marginally okay movie. Nothing to write home about. Oscars should not be given to the highest bidder, which was what happened here. During the award show, it was the very first award. They knew she didn't earn it, so they tried to slip it in the beginning where nobody would notice. She stole it from someone who deserved it. Kim wasn't even in very many scenes, and to be given Best Supporting Actress for it? What a joke! The movie gets 1 star because of what Kim did to get her Oscar, and that's generous. She knows she didn't deserve it. The Oscar judges knew it, and most of all, the public knows. It destroyed my interest in Oscars. I put Oscars in lowercase because that's all they deserve.
Wow.
Boom.
Wow. He dropped the mic on that. Seriously. Oscars in lowercase, that's a violation of the social contract. He really threw down there. He threw down. That's what he did.
Mm-hmm.
Threw down in Lubu. Mine is another 1 star. Titled, Wow, the 90s sucked. If you have any idea what the hell is going on in this movie, kudos to you. Too many characters. The end.
Let me put on another Adam Sandler movie. There we go.
Yeah, that's out of Chicago.
Oh, man. Amazon.
It was nice. We did that like at the same time.
That was awesome.
We were like bookends. Andy, it is hard to believe that we have been having in-depth weekly conversations about movies since 2011.
You are telling me. Producing this show week after week requires a ton of work behind the scenes. If you'd like to help support our efforts, one easy way is by using our originals page when shopping for books and movies that we've covered.
Just visit thenextreel.com/originals. Your purchases made through our links give us a small commission at no extra cost to you and allow us to keep having these great discussions.
I love The Next Reel Season 4. Do you know why?
I don't. Why?
Because we got to talk about my favorite movie, Terry Gilliam's Brazil.
That's not even an adaptation.
No, but it was such a great part of our great Terry Gilliam series, and a few others in that series were adaptations, like The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, adapted from Raspi's stories, and La Jetée, which inspired 12 Monkeys.
Oh, right. And for our Man with No Name trilogy, we saw how Sergio Leone's A Fistful of Dollars was basically stolen from Kurosawa's Yojimbo.
We added Labor Day to our Jason Reitman series, adapted from Joyce Maynard's novel.
Oof, there's one we'll always regret.
Our big Stephen King series covered adaptations like The Shining, Cujo, Christine, and Stand By Me, great horror and coming-of-age tales.
Another Coen Brothers adaptation, too. We got to talk about how they turned Homer's The Odyssey into Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou?
For our holiday series, we did The Bishop's Wife and The Poseidon Adventure.
And who could forget seeing Alec Guinness in the adaptation of Kind Hearts and Coronets during our series dedicated to him.
We really need to do more of his films.
Truly.
We had our first film noir series with classics like Double Indemnity, Detour, and Out of the Past.
And our black and white cinematography of James Wong Howe series with The Thin Man, Sweet Smell of Success, Seconds, and King's Row. So many adaptations.
Oh, you're not kidding. Dive deeper into these originals and more at thenextreel.com/originals. Every book you buy helps support our show.
Get the full list at thenextreel.com/originals and start reading today.